States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Trustee Bennett?
Here.
Trustee Hatton?
Yes.
Trustee McGurran?
Yes. Administrator updates. Lori Kyle.
Good evening. Each trustee has in their packet a ballot to vote for the Butler Rural Electric Cooperative Board of Trustees. We get one ballot, so if each trustee gives me their candidate selections, I will compile that and send in the single ballot. And that's all that I have this evening.
Thank you. Fiscal officer updates. Julie Joyce Smith.
I don't have anything for you at this time.
Expedited legislation. Purpose. Amend revenue and various funds for fiscal year 2026. Move for the adoption of resolution number 2026-019, amending revenue and various funds and requesting an amended certificate of estimated resources from the Butler County Auditor. Need a second? Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Hatton?
Yes.
Trustee Bennett?
Yes.
Trustee McGurran?
Yes. Discussion items, mixed use overlay. We've been talking about this for a while. And something came up at the last meeting that I'll just throw out there that concerned us, which was data centers. I would think that, Jennifer, you may have been exposed to some of that kind of stuff. But as a township, the type of township we are and not having our zoning, which is another possible subject, that we really can't do anything. We did talk to I talked to David Fair at the Butler County, up in Butler County at the office. And I think he's going to try to gather some of the townships that don't have their own zoning and maybe kind of have I'm going to use the wrong word, but maybe a little coalition of people where we can try to get a moratorium in Butler County on those, not necessarily to stop them because they're here, they're all over the place, but to sort of, I guess, pump the brakes a little bit and say, what do these mean? What do they mean to us? What does it mean to Ross? Kind of a thing. How can we deal with it if it does come up? So we'll see how that goes. But in terms of the mixed use overlay, between that and the land use plan, we might be able to mitigate that if it decides to come out here or challenge us. I don't know how everybody feels about those. I'm not in too much favor of those being in Ross at all. But it may be something we have to visit at some point.
Very quickly, just in case.
Yep. I know that there was a situation up in Trenton where there was some land that is being attempted to be annexed into Trenton from St. Clair Township, and the proposed use for that would be a huge data center. And from what I understand, they're huge. They employ very few people and create a lot of issue for townships and areas. So anyway, Greg?
Okay, well, I'm pleased that we've got a number of people here that were involved with our last effort to put together a zoning resolution for the township, which we did. And part of that zoning resolution did have a section in it called the Venice Overlay District. Do you all have a copy of that?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a few more copies here. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to take a look at it, you're welcome to. Oh, wow. So the Venice Overlay District is something that David Fair first brought forward in the early 2000s. When the land use plan was first being updated in the early 2000s, and I was involved with it at that point in time. And David had said at that time, when we updated the land use plan, he said, you might want to consider an overlay district. And so, at that point in time, it was kind of up to the trustees to move forward or not move forward with the overlay. And they chose not to move forward at that time. And I'm going back. None of you, of course, were on the board going back quite a while. And then we had a second effort when we did the zoning group, put the zoning together, and we updated the land use plan at the same time that we did the zoning. Okay, and at that point in time, the overlay was included in the zoning regulations for Ross Township. We had our own zoning. And so this went hand in hand with the zoning. It was just one section of that zoning. Now, of course, that failed to gain the approval of the township voters. So that did not go into effect, but we still have the opportunity to put an overlay district in place along with the Butler County zoning. I will say this, that since we did our zoning work, I believe Butler County has updated their zoning plan. Okay, so I don't know exactly how this would mesh with what Butler County zoning looks like right now. I do know that at the time that we looked at this, there was information that there would be some things that would have to be worked through. Let me grab my note here. There would be some things that would have to be worked through in order to make it mesh. So in the Butler County zoning plan at the time, they had mixed use overlays, MUOs, that could be put in place. And so I guess this would be considered one of those mixed use overlays. And they then I have a section here on their mixed use overlay districts. It was in Article 11 of the Butler County zoning resolution at that time. And I don't know, I haven't seen the new resolution since it's been updated. I don't know if it's still in Article 1 of the county zoning or not. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you want to put the overlay in place, since we did not have our own zoning resolution passed, then one of the things that would have to be done is we would have to make this mesh with the Butler County zoning resolution. So someone would have to go through and pick out the places that would make it fit. So for example, if you look at the very bottom of the first page where it says Venice Overlay District, and it says, it cites several sections of the Ross Township zoning resolution, okay? Obviously, those sections would have to be matched up with whatever's in the Butler County zoning resolution. So that would be just a matter of going through and seeing what elements in that zoning resolutions, how they, what section it would be and what the title would be and so forth and so on. And you'd have to decide whether we were okay with what it said in the Butler County zoning resolution or not, or whether you wanted your overlay at that time to be a little bit different than that zoning resolution or two. So my point simply is this: unless we pass our own zoning resolution, there's going to have to be some work done to make this fit with the Butler County zoning resolution, as long as we're under their zoning. So if you look at some of those titles there, you can see area, frontage, and yard requirements, signs, parking access, landscaping and buffering. So those are some of the things that this is trying to do, is that it's trying to create an area that might be a little more directive in terms of what people can or can't do. So the idea being, in this, of course, the overlay, as I'm sure you're all aware, goes from basically proposed overlay at that time was just past the intersection in Ross heading towards Stricker's Grove, all the way down 128 up to the corner of School Road and Elder Drive. So that whole striped area, okay? So you can see from the map that there's different land uses in that area. Some of it's residential, most of it. If we'd had our own zoning, it would have been zoned pretty much neighborhood business. I don't know what it is on the Butler County zoning map, to be honest with you. I don't have a copy of it, but my guess is it's probably zoned some type of business or commercial, would be my guess at this point in time. So what the overlay does is it allows more restrictions. So you can be more restrictive in terms of the parking. So the idea would be that going down 128, you would have, people just couldn't put a 20-car parking lot right off of 128 and have something built there, along with that, like Dollar General or Family Dollar. It would not allow that type of thing to go in like they are. They have to have more parking. Ours only allowed like 10 parking spaces in the front. And then the other parking would have to be in the rear or on the side. Okay. And then I think you could have an access road, perhaps it would run along the back of the properties, and so that people could, you could turn in here and access along the back of the properties, and then come out, pop out, down at Union Street or something along those lines. So signs, again, restrictive, although I think our zoning pretty much restricted signs to tombstone type signs. Now, luckily, Family Dollar and Dollar General kind of have the type of signs, but I think there was a restriction on the height. What was it, 5 foot maybe? And I don't know, you can read it in there. It's 5 foot tall, and then I think so many square feet for a sign.
48 square feet.
48?
6 feet high.
6 feet high, okay. So, but it has to be tombstone type where it goes from the ground up, okay? Not being a city makes it a little more difficult for us, because by state law, municipalities can have more restrictive zoning regulations. You can help me with that, you would know. But the municipalities can have zoning that is more restrictive in terms of the type of architecture allowed. Okay? But townships cannot be that restrictive. But an overlay district can help you in that particular part, wherever the overlay is. It can help you control some of those architectural details that wouldn't be part of the general zoning code in your township. Okay? So if we had the mixed overlay in place, you would not have a Dollar General or Family Dollar store. You may not have them at all, or you definitely wouldn't look the way they look. It wouldn't be block buildings with, metal. So I think that's one of the things that would be a plus. I mean, if you want to create an ambiance, for lack of a better word, for your town, what do you want it to look like? Those are some questions that have to be answered. What are you trying to create? What do you want your town to be like? Then you could have more control of it with an overlay district. Now, David Fair really is a person who can speak strongly to this, but what kind of things do we want to encourage, or what kind of things would we want to discourage through the overlay district? And then you try to promote the things that you want to encourage, and not promote the things you want to discourage. So there is a possibility that we could potentially get some grants to help with this project, because we have some low to moderate income that borders that overlay district. And there are some grants available, my understanding is, for low to moderate income areas. So that could be a possibility to be able to qualify for some potential that. Another thing is the old golf station. Of course, some people don't even know it was a golf station, but it's that empty lot next to the IGA Express there at 128 and Sunshine Drive was a gas station. And it got torn down and the tanks pulled out and it's been sitting empty a lot ever since. Could we use the land bank, Butler County Land Bank to do something with that? So, maybe street lights with banners on it, something that would be distinctively, this is Ross, this is what you're in Ross, and so forth. So those are some of the ideas I think that, if you can kind of get a vision of what it could be. Now,
Greg, can I ask you?
yeah,
On that land use plan, didn't we took that land use plan, I did it as close as we could. Didn't we? And then that is what Butler County uses when they're looking at their zoning.
yeah, the land use plan supposedly is there to guide Butler County in terms of what we would like to have. Okay? They're not obligated by law to do exactly what our land use plan says, but it is a guide and they can use it if they want to help make their zoning decisions. Certainly, we would hope that they would honor that in terms of our land use plan.
Do they traditionally do that? Is there
There's
pushback?
certain criteria, like I want to say 8 or 10 or 12 criteria, of which your future land use plan is part of that. They're supposed to consider that criteria in totality.
They did when
So whether they do it or not, I don't know, but there is framework.
Yes.
Okay.
when that gas station up on Kraus Lane came into play,
Mhm.
they went by the land use plan. Had that not been there, there'd be a gas station there.
Okay.
So they do listen to the land use plan from what I'm told, what David told me. They give it more standing than an overlay district. Because I asked him which one is more, say, powerful. So the land use plan is more powerful, but obviously they look at the overlay as well.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he said that we had pretty good success in that.
yeah, right, yes, we have. Thank goodness.
On the board standpoint, that would just be one of the factors in a decision that the board has made.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah, so, maybe in the planning stage, that could be different. I'm not, involved with that part, but, on the
Zoning appeals.
the zoning appeals, the land use plan for any rural township is considered when you're reviewing the application.
So this is a member of our,
I know.
who has been on the county.
We have 2 people in Ross that are on that, so it's
Yeah, so
a good thing.
that's a good thing.
They're both my
That's
friends.
a good thing. So, where do we go from here?
We'd had some discussion about maybe expanding the mixed use overlay.
Mhm.
What do you think about that? What does anybody think
Expanding
about
it
that?
and how? Where?
Down 128, farther
Past
down,
the high school and all that?
possibly up to Ross Millville Road. And all the way down to the county. Is that too much?
I mean, you
Well, I
can
guess-
go all the way to Smith Road if you want.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Well, I think the problem is that,
But Jennifer,
yeah, Jennifer probably could say more about that than I could.
Thank you. Some of you know me, someone just remember me vaguely from a previous life here. Jen Patterson, 20 years of economic development. Economic development bumps up against zoning all the time. So let's call it not quite 20 years of zoning. I certainly wouldn't want to presume to be anywhere at David Fair's level. I think he's fantastic. Worked within Butler County, now I'm within Warren County, so seen a variety of things. Think of zoning as we're trying to decide compatible uses throughout an area. So this is why you don't have major industrial paint spraying next to a Target, next to a house. So zoning is really, in land use, is compatible uses in an area, and they give some guidelines to that so that your 2 industrial uses look and feel similar, usually aesthetically, and usually from a intensity perspective. Your overlay district is the gingerbread that goes on. That's basically, hey, compatible uses are, we want a commercial corridor, Your overlay is the things like he mentioned. We also want wrought iron fencing. We want certain lamps. We want banners. We want this to have this kind of look and feel. And the last time we were here, we said, go walk it. And it's so hard to figure out while you drive.
Mhm.
It takes a ton of vision. And it's not what I'm great at, I'll tell you. But if you walk it, you kind of get to feel it a little bit better of what it could be. To answer your question directly, whether you should expand it or not depends on what your goal is, I would say. If your goal is to have compatible uses, that's probably handled through zoning. If your goal is to create a look and feel for an area and not let it get too big that you've watered it down, but not be so small that you only have a block, that's where your overlay district probably comes in. If you go and overlay from all the way down here to all the way down there, okay, but you got to be willing to put a lot into it. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like it gelled quite. It's a project that hasn't really happened.
Mhm.
If you start at one end and you can always expand your overlay, you know, that might give you a little more of a feel. There are some communities in the area that are large cities that are, you know, maybe not on the upswing in their life cycle, and they can put $1 million into a block, and you still have 2 blocks on either side that aren't fantastic, right? Because they've got so much to tackle. You don't want your projects to have so much to tackle that you can't do it. So think about it that way. If compatible uses is a zoning conversation, typically the gingerbread, the look and the feel is an overlay that supports the zoning. So, hey, Butler County, you let 20 cars be there. We don't care about 20, but we don't want them in the front. Or we only want 5 in the front. That's where you get those nuances. If the goal is to limit uses, that is doable either way. You just got to think about what you want to limit. So if you want to limit commercial over 8,000 square feet, okay, you're going to knock out some boxes, right? You're not going to be able to put a big box in there. Small scale commercial, neighborhood commercial, depending on how it's defined, that's going to get you that smaller piece that you would want through here. If the goal is, here's a specific thing we don't want, you can't say, oh, I don't want Dollar Generals. Like, that's not going to legally fly, right? You guide it by the size, you guide it by your restrictions. You make it really hard with aesthetic standards so they can't make money. That's how you avoid some of those things.
One of the things in here says prohibited uses. Are we legally allowed to prohibit the use of some of the things that are listed on section E?
Okay, this is my disclaimer that I am admitted to the bar but not practicing law.
Okay.
I can tell you that where I am now, which is a township, has an overlay district at I-71 and 123, which you would know from the Flying J truck stop. The Flying J came in, it was not what the township wanted. Zoning at the time was not sufficient to block it because it's a commercial use. And so they created a JED with the city of Lebanon as part of that project, and they put in an overlay. In that overlay, we restrict uses. There are uses that are permitted under Warren County's rural zoning code that we do not allow in the JED because they didn't need to be there. I got Flag J, commercial, got in, is what it is. I have hundreds of acres on the other 2 quadrants. No sewer access, but we're working on it. That will look and feel different because of the JED overlay.
So you've got 12
We don't have a
acres.
shed anymore.
You've got 12
It's
acres.
the overlay. The JED doesn't
Right.
matter for us, it's the JED. But
The Burns property,
Right.
was it like 12 acres right here, I think, is zone commercial.
Yeah, right, the front.
So pretty much anything goes right now.
so you can just say, if you don't want a data center, that's a very different conversation than
Yeah.
do we want the Venice overlay?
Yeah. To Mr. Young's point, that's why I thought about expanding this a little bit, because I know that's already zoned. And I also personally have a problem with the land use has never been changed on that Burns property to from a downtown regional center. It's still listed as downtown regional center. I'd rather see that something else.
That could be a zone change.
Right, that's a different,
Okay, I'm gonna put my economic development hat on, right? I, as a resident, think that is an overlay
Mhm.
because you have a really distinct feel
Mhm.
driving through there.
okay.
I think that
Mhm.
is probably not an overlay, at least not the same overlay,
Okay.
because your downtown, mixed use, commercial, residential, we want people walking and all around. I don't want my kids walking through this
Mhm.
intersection here,
Mhm.
right? So I think that is a different one that has a different look and feel. And whether it's an overlay, it could be, but it's probably a planned unit development when it comes in,
Mhm.
where you negotiate the incentives, the utilities, the look and design, the density, the uses. That's probably a PUD, planned unit development.
Yep.
That's probably an overlay.
Okay.
This is a project that gets knocked out. This is an investment over time.
The grants you mentioned, Mr. Young, are those grants for the low to mid and, or the income?
Low to moderate income.
Are those for improvements to those properties, or are those grants to help get this in place?
It grants to help with the overlay. That's my
Put it
understanding.
in place,
I
okay.
mean, David mentioned those, but I can't give you specifics. I don't have the knowledge. I don't know. Jennifer,
I think you decide what you want, say it's streetlights, okay? And then you go to Duke Energy, and quarterly they run economic development grants, they run community grants, they run park grants, every quarter is a different grant for them. And you say, hey, we'd like you to fund the streetlights, which by the way, you're gonna make the electric payment, back. So it's a good cyclical investment. Or there might be an area where you need sidewalks, there's a gap in the sidewalk, right? And that, if you have enough low mod income, which I think we walked the neighborhood and we weren't quite there.
We're
We're
back.
back, okay. We're back.
They changed their mind, we're back.
So if you have that, you can always apply through CDBG, Community Development Block Grants for things. You could apply with that sidewalk. There's a ODOT program called, what's like SS4? It's Safe Routes to Schools, basically. So you would make the argument that you're going to make the connection up to the school and you need to do it a block at a time or something along those lines. So there are pieces out there. You sort of pull them together. To my knowledge, and David Fair would know best, there isn't really a moment of you want to do an overlay, here's your pot of money. It's things that support the vision.
So this overlay then is more than just creating the framework and putting stuff on paper in terms of, and then it's the township itself making the investment by either by way of grants or township dollars for things in that overlay.
So there's some things you're not going to be able, there are some things you're going to have to pay for because you're not going to be able to push them to someone else. And you're going to want a look and feel to get going so that people can grab it. They know what they're driving through. Say you want sidewalks and say we didn't have Dollar General. If you've got the plan that says sidewalks are coming in, then it goes to county planning and BZA if they need to. And the deal is sidewalks are going in and you developer are paying for it. Or, hey, I have a house and I want to convert it to tops on the bottom and an apartment upstairs. Okay, here's our standards and you're paying for it. And that's the rub where people, it's not always that it's more expensive, it's that you added standards to an area. And then the argument is, well, do we have to do that? I mean, this is where you guys get paid the big bucks for. Do we have to do that? Like, do we have to do those standards or is the area already doing it? The area is not already doing it. We know that. There are bits and pieces that are awesome. You've got a mural in the backside of the hair salon. You've got some properties that are really well taken care of. You have some houses that have reinvested or at least started to over the years. Do you have a Dollar General and something else?
Family Dollar.
Family Dollar, thank you. They're not going to do a darn thing until you make them.
Mhm.
No,
Well, the coffee shop down here, I think, would be an example of
Yeah.
the kind of business that would fit well, I think, in people's minds in the overlay district. You take a house, you repurpose it, and
You park somewhere and you visit 2 or 3 things. You get a coffee, you go to a couple shops, you come back. That's, I think, what a lot of people have thought of when they've thought of the Venice area.
But when you have things like the existing Dollar General and Family Dollar, you can't, once you put this in place, you can't impose these rules unless they, the way I understood it, if it burned to the ground and they rebuilt.
current businesses would be grandfathered.
Everything-
Current
Everything's
businesses, yeah, are grandfathered, but you're looking 20 years out when you do these plans. Even zoning is 20 years out. You're protecting the future. So Family Dollar is not a great example because it's a smaller parking lot, but the old IGA, where they would piecemeal the parking lot repairs, theoretically, they should have come in, redone the whole parking lot. And at that point, that's a substantial enough change under some zoning codes to say you're going to now bring this all up to current code, parking islands and landscaping. Or something burns down. Or, hey, we want to do an expansion off the back. Great, here's the new code. You'll have to figure that into whether or not it's worth expanding. But yeah, especially because those are newer, you're going to have to wait them out.
Or the daycare here would have to put hedges or plantings
Yeah. good
along
point.
128.
If you're doing major investment,
Yeah.
the change in use, does that trigger stuff? That's a really zoning specific question. I don't know the answer to, but if we go to parking islands, one of the best ways to create a problem with a car dealership is parking island requirements. They don't want trees next to the cars because then they have to clean the cars. So you don't necessarily zone out car dealerships, but you do have to put in parking islands.
So attrition sort of comes into play as things change, and that's why the 20-year thing, you kind of look at that. Because that would have been nice for the, like, I think Greg just said somebody said about the daycare. That would have begun to kind of set that standard, and as things move forward, farther down the road, then that's, okay. Okay.
And sometimes it doesn't take much. If you think about the IGA Express, for example, when it was first built, it just was you had the glass and then you just had kind of a flat roof on it. Well, they've since put a roof, I call it a mansard roof. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but if you look at the daycare right here, where the old IGA store was, they've done the same thing. They've got that roof. It's not the act, it's just decorative, really.
Yeah.
But it just makes a different look and feel. So that kind of thing can make a big difference, I think, in how things look. The IGA Express put the same kind of front along the top front, that same type of roof. And just a little something like that can give it a different feel and look.
What do you guys think the biggest objection to zoning in Ross was? Was it
Money.
cost? Okay.
I think my personal opinion was the cost was probably a little overblown, I think.
Larry Tennis.
Yeah.
Larry Tennis was the biggest ask. And I would say right to space. So, yeah.
Well, because I can think of some options. We could share a zoning administrator with
Right.
Morgan Township.
I've already, that was what I was thinking.
That's something that immediately comes to mind. That would cut it down. There is the risk of lawsuits. If you have your own zoning, I guess somebody wants to sue you. That could be a possibility, I guess.
That's
But
insurance.
I don't know what else. Jen?
The lawsuits are probably the scariest thing when we're making decisions. Like today I was in a zoning meeting for Warren County. They do like a rural zoning. We all have a seat. We all weigh in on each other's projects and the prosecutor sits in because the prosecutor needs to sit in just in case they've got to defend one of the townships or the board itself. To go to the question of what probably scared, I think cost was a concern at the time. I don't know that I think it was overblown, but I think it was very top of mind for people. I think the other challenge is, you're in an area where you have a group of residents that travels and is really comfortable in a lot of different communities throughout Southwest Ohio. And you have some residents that don't leave Ross very often. And it's hard to have that conversation about what things could be or where we could go if someone just wants it to stay the same and they've never gone somewhere and thought, well, this is really cool. Or they're not comfortable when they're there. So even if they do think it's cool, it's just not for them. And you have some very different groups that all kind of had a thought about, do I want you to tell me what I can do at my house? Generally, the answer is no. I want to do what I want at my house, right? Tell my neighbor parks something I don't want to see next door.
Or vote in the cul-de-sac for 6 weeks.
Vote in the cul-de-sac for 6 weeks, for example.
For example.
Very
So I think that,
We had no say over the subdivision.
I know. Okay. It was
That's the
I have a
subdivision.
few questions. This overlay was done in what year?
they were pretty old.
So overlay or the,
This?
No,
the original.
Yes,
the original.
original overlay,
The original.
2015, I think.
2015.
I think it was that.
What happened to it?
Apparently there is quite a meeting and there is some opposition to it. And I think Lori and Julie were probably there in the meeting. Were you in the meeting when Lenny Moore got?
No, I heard about it, but I was not present.
There was correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I've always heard there was a group of landlords
2015.
out there that really did not care for the idea of an overlay. And people were silent and the loudest group drove the conversation.
I get the idea that the majority of the people do not want to be told what to do. I get that. But I've been here 20 years, relatively new compared to many of you. But I keep hearing, let's keep Ross Ross. What I want to do is protect Ross. When I look down here, I was appalled when the first Dollar General went in. Not by the nature of their business, but the appearance of the building. You know my history. We got a few of them, too many of them over there. And then the second one went in. And it's not that they're there, it's the appearance of the building. And now we are stuck with it. I look down through there and I see the folks who invest in the historical perspective, which I greatly admire. I totally enjoy the look. You mentioned the hair salon. What an upgrade at some expense, but minimal expense. It made a difference. When I look down here, I look at what's going to happen if somebody wants to repurpose a lot. They want to demolish a building and put something else there. That's my concern. There's a vacant lot down there that's being used for old vehicles. You know, that's very attractive for the youth. But when I look out this window, I see Young's, I see the bank with a certain architectural design, and I look across down through there, and all of a sudden I've got two yellow buildings. And I don't understand. We have to make the hard decisions. We have to stand up. I've asked a couple of people who were involved at that time. They said, well, we put it in a drawer. We're going to wait till the business asks for it. Business not going to ask for it. It's not. It's long-term, but it's time that when I talk about keep Ross Ross, I'm going to protect Ross. I don't want some out-of-state, out-of-town developer coming in, leaving us with a problem forever.
I think the thing for Keep Ross Ross is if you, and this would be for you guys, if you ask what that means, it probably does not mean some of what you're referencing and what I love to call legacy properties, right? These are legacies. I'd like the small town feel. I like to know the shop owner. I like to feel comfortable that traffic is slow enough that we can walk comfortably on the sidewalks. If that's the feel, you have an awesome opportunity. If Keep Ross Ross is, I don't want to touch anything architecturally or otherwise, that's a look too. But you're rolling the dice that someone will walk away from a building and someone else will see an opportunity, and the opportunity doesn't match the vision.
You believe that if this is adopted by this board, that we have some reasonable opportunity of success?
I think you're already seeing some of it with the coffee shop, with a little bit of effort from the gas station. You know, the peer pressure is a wonderful thing, right? So I think you are seeing some of it. I think you will have to work hard to find investors that see it. I mean, it's not natural to want to spend more money, right? The bank looks like that because that's the corporate standard.
Right.
So you're in an entrepreneurial space. It will take a while, and it will take a board who believes in it and is going to stick by it. Give it a 5-year run or a 7-year run, and think about, by the time some projects roll in and some money and some projects, and be loud about the ones that look great, so that you're building that idea of momentum.
So the opportunity for community block grants or upgrades. Clearly, we need to demonstrate a plan that this just isn't, we're picking low fruit. We have a plan from point A to point B. Whether we do that in 10, 20, 30-foot sections, there is a plan. Okay.
Usually generally speaking, Lori probably knows much more about CDBG than I do because I've not done a ton with it. I've managed to work for communities that didn't have low mod income, so we were always kind of jealous of places that could get that. Generally speaking, anytime you apply for something, you have to have the plan that shows the vision. Otherwise, it's hard to get buy-in. I don't have a problem as an employee hitting up Duke or whomever and saying, hey, this is kind of the vision. Can you help us out, or can you be our match? What does that look like? But it's so much easier to say, here's the slide deck of what we see. Here's what we think is going to happen. Can you share that with your board as we're in this grant cycle? Some places actually require it. Some places it's just helpful.
If you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. There is no Keep Ross Ross.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that just isn't going to happen. If you don't have a vision and a plan for the future, you're going backwards because it's not where you need to be.
I would really like to get to a point that we are no longer reactive, but proactive.
Correct.
And set that as a foundation for this board and foundation for those to follow, with the hopes they don't rescind all the hard work and the bruising that went occur during it. But, this first came out, the first thing I had asked Russ, why did it stop here? And what you're saying makes perfectly good sense, because what I'm viewing is opportunities for something. There's land over there. What's it going to look like?
So to pull on your background, that's, nobody shoot me here, okay? This is just for example purposes. That's kind of like the Village Green. And this is kind of like the part of Pleasant Avenue where they went in and they put all the consistent signs out across the building, and it's just looking better than it has in years.
And I remember arguing that for 38 years. There is hope. There is
And
hope.
they coexist close. They benefit and complement each other, but they're not exactly the same animal.
True. Very true.
So what are next steps then? How do you, to not waste the work that's already been done, but clearly there's more work that has to be done. And I'm reading in here that you have to have a design plan prepared by any appointed agent of the the Board of County Commissioners or any appointed agent of a property owner or group of property owners located within the subject area. Page 61 of the mixed use overlay district. It is
Whoa,
11.05.
Article 11.
Yeah, you have to submit a design plan and it's specific about the preparation of the design plan.
Yeah.
Is that to create the overlay district or is that as an add?
True. Yeah, yes, correct. To create, I read it to create the district.
Which number?
11.05. Where it says you have to prepare a design plan.
The required contents of the design plan or the section before. 7.04.
I just wondered if lay people can do this or you have to, who is this appointed agent?
It says a survey showing property lines, existing zoning district bounds,
That's when you show the
and
plan.
property ownership
Is
of
that
all
when we partnered
parcels.
with Wendy Moeller the last time?
You show
But you have to prepare the plan and I'm reading this that it's specific on who can prepare the plans.
The planning department can do it.
Butler County Planning Department.
Yeah, and is that what it says, like a consultant? planning department?
Yeah, that's an example.
I think you talk to staff and find out their bandwidth to take something on. And if they say, yeah, we can, or they say, no, we can't, then I think you either hire like a Wendy Moeller, who is the consultant that's helped with a lot of this before and is familiar with it and reasonably priced. If you have to go less expensive than that, I think you reach out to the planning classes over at Miami and see if they can do it as a capstone, or you go down to UC and you see with a class project. There's time with those, right? Time versus, and Wendy's phenomenal. But I don't
The
know what you
capstone
get with
issue
these.
is the collective township, we have to move quickly because those students graduate, move on. And I've been in similar situations where they're going to do a graphic design. Well, the board, in that case, drug their feet for so long that the students are gone. And now you've got a whole new, and you've got to pitch it again. So if we do something like that, where you use, students, college students or whatever, the collective, we have to be committed to a timeframe.
The existing plan and drawings was done by a commercial contractor, or was it?
Wendy Moeller.
Okay.
I believe she did a whole plan, right?
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, she took- well, why wouldn't that be a portion of this criteria that all we had to do was build upon?
You probably start from.
Bill Smith Puncheon.
Right, okay.
Bill Smith Puncheon is who did this back in 2015.
Shouldn't we try and adapt this,
It wasn't Wendy? Was that MSP?
these things to
Uh,
land use of
The plan was developed, but then Wendy was used for some reason.
Shouldn't we do the wording on this to make sure it coincides with Butler County first before we even started the drawing?
I think you gotta figure out the vision of what you want,
Yeah,
because
do this.
this may reference a street light style, but you're like, not so much anymore. But you've had
Yeah,
3 or 4 economic cycles since that original plan was done.
yeah, so we have to go over
You might
this.
have a different vision. Make sure you're on the same page, walk it together, have a conversation. Don't walk it together, just kidding, that's a public meeting. Walk it separately.
Feet apart.
Nope, that's still a violation of sunshine law. They have to be individual. Lori and I could go with them.
Yes, true.
And the 3 of them could not go together in any way. shape-
It'd have to be a while.
Oh, it'd be a while for Lori, I apologize.
I'll wheel you.
Okay.
But I think
But we
you
can
guys
be.
have a quiet
We're not
work session
officials.
and figure out, here's the look and feel that we want as the elected officials. Here's where we see some opportunities. Here's what we like. And that's not real hard. That's an hour and a half of just conversation. Then you've got your feet under you. Then you kind of reach out to Butler County and say, hey, what's your bandwidth for this? Do you charge, Warren County charges extra for one-off projects. So at the township where I'm at, we had them do a specific zoning land use update in one part of the township, and we paid extra because that was night meetings and things that are above their pay. I don't know how Butler County does it.
David Fair is definitely the person to,
Yeah,
And
ask
he
him.
didn't charge.
And if he's like, I can't, or you don't want us to, which he could also say that.
Wouldn't he be helpful to help us figure out how to mold what we have into what they need?
You definitely need him. I just don't know what his bandwidth is to lead it versus to participate in it.
He's come several times, and I
Yeah,
think if we ask him one more time, he
Yeah.
may just say, until you guys get your act together collectively, don't. But I also will tell you, the last time he was here, and Lori can correct me if I misunderstood, he was talking about CDBG money for specifically like lampposts and banners and things like that, where he said there's a big competition for road dollars. And we do have a CDBG grant coming up
Right.
with an area over there. We are going to go ahead and get that paid. So we were successful in that, but he was basically cautioning us, we have a lot of people competing for that. What we don't have a lot of people competing for, let's say lampposts with banners. At the time, we were like, well, how would we put them up, take them down? But I think we've resolved that, haven't we? Didn't Road just buy a truck?
They got bucket
A
truck.
bucket truck now. So we're in a little better position to be able to say, okay, we could do the maintenance on that. Whereas initially we were like, well, we'll have to hire somebody to come in and change them and, okay, so.
Do solar.
Buy really nice commercial planners, and you partner with the garden club to keep them maintained. Or, partner with some kind
Or
of
the high
sports
school.
organization.
So I think we're, with
Honor Society.
David Fair, I think he's a willing participant, but I feel like we, the collective, we need to go to him and say, look, we're working in this direction now. And we're going to have some momentum. And then I think he would be able to tell us
I think he has to feel
he's
like
gonna
you're going to
get
be
annoyed.
serious about it because
how many,
Yeah.
when he first talked about it, it was 2005, so it's like 20 years ago.
and he's been back several times.
And he recommended that would be a next step for Ross.
He helped us out a lot with this zoning and the original land use.
The thing to keep in mind is that
But he's gonna get
coming out from retirement.
Right.
Well, and his department is one of the most put upon. They just keep getting dumped on. Now you're taking on. So,
But he could definitely talk, he could probably be willing to just say, here's the steps.
Mhm.
Here's what I recommend and here's how you get started. And
Some of that stuff might not be as scary as it seems, like a survey. Okay, does it have to be a survey, or will they accept their own GIS? What can we work around? It may not be as big of a list as it looks at first.
but if we're truly serious, getting an actual survey of the area would be a step in the right direction. At least we'd have some concrete evidence that we're working with. That we know exactly the geographical area and it's been surveyed and so
Yeah, there's other parcels that are in, one step at a time. Know that there was ever a previous board that was going to go one step at a time. I think this was an opportunity to put it into the zoning and let it go back out to the people, right? That's what the most recent version was. The original version, to your point, got put in the drawer. Whether it was a good reason, a bad reason, that's not for me to say, but there wasn't a whole lot of
You
movement.
to invest all that time and work and have someone develop such a plan, like where to go? And then I look what's occurred, it could have been prevented. And I don't want to look at this to say, oh, this is too little, too late, and not go forward with something. We owe it to the community. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
One thing that you guys might want to know is that the reason that might have been put in the drawer is the sewer doesn't get upgraded. It's a sewer project for UDF where they ended it down there versus bringing it all the way up here. If you're talking about an investment, that's going to be your guys' investment. You're going to have to put sewer up, and the businesses will not pay for it.
no.
Right.
You know, if you want to do like a sewer district or something and charge, I mean, there's ways
Yeah.
to spread the peanut butter, but you're only going to be able to do so much without that sewer.
When they did the sewer back, the back end of Berlin, the Venice area, they usually a sewer assessment's 20 years. They made it a 40-year assessment to be able to accommodate the low income. Some of the assessments were $4 a year. I mean, they had it so
If they
low,
signed up for it.
but so where there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah, and overlays don't solve sewer. I mean,
That is,
at I-71 and 123, I need a good 7 million to pull sewer on a good day.
Sooner or later, that sewer's, they're gonna need more.
mhm.
That's gonna be overrun because West Trails is eating it all up.
You put it in and you say, this is where our overlay is, this is what we're going for, and at some point, we'll hit a utility problem.
It goes up to Elder and Burns Farm.
But then if you're lucky, it's a different type of downtown, but when I was in Monroe, there was a developer out of Dayton that does stuff like this. And I brought him down and we walked the downtown, and I said, where do you want to start? I know where I'd start, where would you start? And it was the same corner. We said, okay, well, we would do this. Then we take this down and we'd leverage this to do this piece. And we would just work our way back up the hill. And that's kind of like what you are going to end up having to do here. You've got great bright spots. You're going to pick your less bright areas. And you're going to say, what do we want there? Or who do we want there? Or who's at least got the wherewithal to tear the building down and hold vacant land for a while. And you're going to just piecemeal it under a vision.
Right. We've kind of spent the night talking ourselves into it, which I think was pretty easy. I think everybody
Talk
here's
about data center?
kind of on the same level. Not yet. Is there any, other than what you said, is there any downside to doing this and moving forward? And
You know, here's the thing. I think we have an obligation to do the hard work and to make the hard decisions. And because of, you did not give us hurdles that were too high to get over. They're strictly challenges that if we start picking one at a time and moving forward, that by the end of this year, perhaps, if not sooner, tomorrow, Russ is going to work all night on this, that we can do something constructive for the community. And continue your legacy, the work that you have done forward. But just answer your phone when we have questions.
I have said, we bought it for flips, it's okay.
Go get her.
I've been here, I've been there twice already.
The hardest part is probably putting the vision together for however long it takes to see something, and that there will be pushback because people don't like what they perceive as increased cost to invest in something, right? Why should I have to make my drive concrete when the gravel's worked just fine?
Mhm.
Well, because that's the standard.
Yeah, but that's
Argument I had multiple times today with a gentleman. I don't want to do 4-foot mounting entries. I don't know what to tell you. You're next to a residence. This is what the expected standard is. So, I mean, that's the pushback, but that's pushback that the township hasn't typically had to give or receive. And so it will feel weird, but it's not unusual, if that makes sense. Every development is going to have some.
I think for us to initiate this work, we have to come to a consensus that we're going to stand strong. And we're not going to bend. They want to chew on this, all they're going to get scar tissue, so I don't care. You know, but when somebody has an objection, we have to stand strong with the vision that we have for this quarter.
the objection might be something that makes sense, right? Oh, we hadn't thought of that.
Mhm.
But if it's just.
I look at it more as protecting those who are already invested, as opposed to having something, first couple of vacant lots down there, we end up with a car part store or something and nothing to control it with. Or I'm not against car parts, I love cars, but just as an example of what occurs in those parking lots. You end up rebuilding cars, buying your parts as you have money. That's the thing that I think we have an obligation. And we have the ability up here to stand strong and do this. We're going to lock all the drawers, so we're not going to put it away. So, and as far as the banners, Lori, when you get your leg fixed, you can get a step ladder. I don't see any reason.
Well, then, Jennifer, in your opinion, the first step would be, and Greg and everybody, would be to ask David Fair, is this still commensurate with what is in place in Butler County? Is that true, or?
We'll get a copy of it,
I mean, if this, yeah.
start bumping them up against each other.
5 minutes, he's getting annoyed.
I think if you
I'm telling you.
start to compare how the two things come together,
Hmm.
think about what you want, because I think to the point, David Fair's been brought out here a lot over the years.
Right,
So great, but
Yeah.
I would probably like a little confidence.
right.
And then I think as you're going through both the zoning code and other places, think of what you like that looks good, because that overlay may not have everything that you
Yeah.
think you need
Mhm.
to create a
I'm
sense
sure
of
it's
place,
changed.
or you have stuff in there that you think, that might not be how I do it.
Do townships update those from time to time? Do they make amendments to those? And
I'm updating them.
10 years?
now for us. Yeah,
okay,
it was, the one right now is put into place that I'm working with at 71 and 123 was put into place in 2012. And there was not a ton of interest because, again, no sewers, right? So they were fortunate in a sense that they didn't get pushed into something. The interest was pretty limited, and when there was big interest that had big money and the ability to pull sewer, it was prohibited uses under the zoning code. So they navigated that.
Okay.
There are only 2 interchanges left on 71 in that area that are undeveloped. It's us in Wilmington.
Mhm.
And so pressure's coming, so we're doing an update to get ready.
Yeah, I think define the area.
Mhm.
Walk it, maybe make visits to other places. What would be some good places, Jennifer, you think to visit? Where they've maybe done similar things.
Let me think on it and I will send it to Lori, because we did a tour one time of 4 different communities in Columbus that had walkable, smaller sized downtowns, which I think is kind of the feel you're looking for a little bit here. Let me think.
What about the post office around in Westchester, that area there?
That's a cute area.
Did they have something there?
I don't know if they have an overlay there or not. I mean, I would think Old Westchester might have something.
What about Loveland or Lebanon?
Loveland, I think, would probably have something. Lebanon would be easy. I can get you guys Lebanon. But yeah, I mean, even just to say, like, we like the streetlights in Lebanon, but we like the sidewalks, are bricked or whatever. I mean, there's just so many things you could play with in an overlay. I mean, it's really kind of.
Okay.
We also have to make it affordable.
Well, exactly. It's examples.
I know,
Not get caught in the weeds, but figure out what you
Unless
guys
we're all
like.
gonna become bricklayers. Do,
I'll
roads ourselves, cobblestone.
Walking on them for 10 days, and thank you.
I don't think people are gonna mind that much about the overlay, because it's not like we're telling them they can't park a trailer, or they have to put.
We're not telling them what color to
And
paint
no
their
one
house.
likes the $2 and so they'll like the idea of doing it.
Overlays and architectural standards are not always the same things.
Right.
So like your historical paint colors that you have to pull in some areas.
Mhm.
That you can go that far, or sometimes they go that far, but that, from my experience and research on it, looking for some other things, that's like an architectural review board, which is a level beyond an award. And you may need to clarify for people that if your intent is not to regulate the color of blue,
Right.
that
might be what people mentally jump to.
Along with this will be a pretty large burden of educating the people that will be impacted by it. Change in itself will be objectionable to many, but the fact that we present it in a positive form of what it can mean in the future, I think we'll be okay. But I think one of those quadrants for a data center at 123 and 71 is an ideal place.
Sadly, remember, I don't have sewer.
Yeah, bring it in,
Well, we have a thing on data centers. They're not always huge. And so as you guys are thinking about what you want to do, I know of one right now that is sneaking into a mid-sized office building, not in this area, but they're not always huge. And they're not the water drains that they used to be a while ago. And there are some very real challenges to how fast they can build given what they need to go in them and the lead time. So there are some developers that are still running towards them, and there are some developers that are saying, how do I go under contract now for something that's not ready for construction for 7 years? And how many technology changes between now and then?
Right.
So some private sector is already saying, hey, we really thought this would be awesome, and we're seeing some things that we're just not sure how to pencil out. But they're not always what you're hearing in trends as you're thinking about whether you like them or not. Know that that scale is changing considerably, every 6 months.
Where are you afraid they're gonna put one?
Anywhere. Would you want one in your backyard? Humming all
They
night?
can't put one in my backyard, I have electrical or gas line, so
Theoretically.
I'm saying. And no sewers.
Okay.
Only place I can think of is that place that was just auctioned off. If that backs into Hamilton and they could access sewers that way, they might be able to put something there.
That was 350-acre-ish lots.
They were-
They were right on the border of Hamilton, the one was.
Yes,
Right on it.
there are sewers in
Yeah.
that area.
On Smith Road, I think it was.
Employment numbers, some don't.
Yeah.
It's another thing to think about.
That was something else I heard, that they were these giant centers and there was 12 people running the whole thing. I'm like,
That is how it used to be.
okay.
Old school, it was, yes,
Yeah.
that was very true.
But that's part of the education, and
And there are still some like that, but there are some where they're like, that's where our engineers are going.
Mhm.
And that totally changes your
Excuse me.
salary per square foot on a smaller size.
Mhm.
Like,
And a lot of them, I've heard, are paying their own electric now. It's not going on to the
it's a rider.
Yeah.
So would we agree in principle that we want to move forward with this?
Yes,
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
yes.
Okay, good.
Sooner or later, I'm thinking Family Dollar is gonna fall. Dollar General is much bigger, I
As
think.
long as there's no grocery store active, there's going to be a need for them.
That's true.
And I appreciate your thoughts about, I don't want to say confining it, but keeping the kind of where it is. And,
We've been in Dollar.
this is what this is here, and that out there might be something else with in a different plan.
I think you would want flexibility for your
Mhm.
expression.
Mhm.
There.
Mhm.
Here, you just want to set good rules
Yeah.
and facilitate
Yeah.
the district.
And I think it shows people that we're trying to have that vision that Don talked about to, we have that for here, let's work on this. As things come along, we're going to work on that up there too, if it comes. Right now, he doesn't want to do anything with it. It's fine with me. Ronnie?
Focus on what you have.
Ronnie's like-
Think about what
I
you
like your analogy, protecting it.
Yeah.
That's really key. It's protecting it.
I know.
Well, if it's planned unit development, that gives you a lot of control, much more control too.
Ryan, do you have anything to throw in all this? You're quiet back there. I know you have thoughts. Okay. Okay. We beat that one down. Data centers, land use plan, we kind of combined that. Necessary renovations to the fire station 101 and 102. You still awake?
I gave you guys those packets a couple weeks ago that Lieutenant Meyer put together.
That's this?
Yeah.
Have
I
that?
figure he'd be the best one since he did all the legwork on
Thank
this.
you, Greg. And Keith?
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you, guys. If you're getting ready to leave, thank you. You have,
I do.
okay,
Right
okay,
here.
okay. Lieutenant Meyer, you want to hit us with the highlights and talk about this?
At the 102s, I was tasked with finding some contractors, relatively local contractors who could come in and remodel the showers. At present, we have one shower that is unusable due to poor construction. Initially, water got behind the wall, mold got back in there, and now we have one shower that's completely unusable, and the second one is heading that direction. So that's why we were getting some contractors for that. We were also looking at remodeling the 101s. It obviously could use some love, but we had the first contractor that came in, and we had a discussion about what would be required to actually update it in there, and be knocking down walls, we would be jackhammering concrete and plumbing, and we do not want to do that in a building that old. So my solution to that was $2,000. I can make it look pretty. It'll be clean. It'll be upgraded. It'll have, some of the changes that with the shower heads and things like that, so people can actually stand in them. Because right now they're made for short people, really short people, and it hits you right in the chest. So it's not very useful. So that's that aspect of it for the fire here. But sent out to 6, actually 7 local contractors. I received response back from 4 of them. One of them stopped responding after the initial email, and the other 3 came in and provided quotes. Those are the ones that are.
They do range in pricing.
Yes, they do.
It's-
One thing that I will tell you about one of the quotes in there, the price is set at like 10,000-ish. Come to find out, and that was not included in the quote, that is only for one shower. That is not for both showers. So some further clarification on my end with them determined that that quote's actually double.
Okay.
So the one quote from Emory is by far the best. It was the initial recommended anyhow, but it's the best regardless.
Is 101 you guys doing most of the work? Because I don't see labor on here. Okay.
We also had another issue come up. The decision was made not to remodel, redo the shower, the women's shower at the 2s, because that would have added an additional $7,500 onto the quote. It's not used nearly as much, so it doesn't have the water damage. It doesn't have the potential issues that the other ones do. What we do now have is a shower cartridge that controls the flow of water up to the shower head is shot. To replace that cartridge is $700. To go around it, bypass it, go through the wall behind it, create an access panel, cut that out, and put in a whole new system is about $200, and easily accessible in the future if we have issues. So to me, that was what was given to you guys this evening.
Wow.
It's just, yes, correct, from Rob.
I think I stuck one in there, Julie.
Oh, is it?
I think it's sticking out of the top
Right here?
on the red folder. There it is.
Oh. That was in there.
It's in there.
Thank you.
So if you look at the pictures in the back, you can see the picture of the wall is where the access panel would be through on the other side to completely replace what's in there now. if it's issues in the future, it would be accessed by opening a door as opposed to cutting a tile and taking it.
Is there anything with the three estimates that are dramatically different, other than the price?
Two closest in price, biggest difference was Emory was, instead of putting in a cultured marble pre-made base to it, they were just going to tile the concrete, which makes it fit better the situation. They were going to have issues with the cultured marble base on how to make it flow properly because it's not custom. So it won't fit exactly in that space. Whereas when you're tiling the floors, you can cut those tiles exactly how you want. And as it turns out, it's cheaper as well.
And the work done at 101, you would do on your time has a value, so when you're,
While I'm there,
while you're there.
I already planned out.
Okay.
to get through.
101 is your greatest challenge. Is that going to meet the needs of your personnel?
As far as the bathrooms are concerned,
Yes.
and showers, absolutely.
Is there any consideration for the dorm area there?
That will come in the future.
Okay.
One step at a time. We get the bathrooms done. Eventually, we'll be looking into other options, an office space in there, and that will allow us at that point in time to open up the sleeping arrangements a little bit so everybody's not sleeping in a closet. Extra space there. So that everybody's very patient, and it's something that can come with time. First things first, honestly, fixing the bathrooms and getting those up to par. People can shower, do their other business there.
And this is a long time coming. We've been putting Band-Aids on things for a while, and Band-Aids are coming off.
The exception of Tri-Eagle, is there one that you feel is better?
My recommendation was to use Emory Excavating. They were the best price, plus they were going to be cut tile for the floors as opposed to a prefabricated pan.
Are we going to pay for this, Chris?
We had some carryover money that Julie found from last year, and that's within that budget we can use.
Within your budget?
Yes.
I will tell you, I didn't find anything. They just spent very wisely, and my estimates were really, really low for a reason. And the carryover came in much higher than we anticipated. However, that being said, the carryover is about 1/10 of their budget. And while I'm grateful that they have it, and it gives us all, especially paying the bills on Friday, to take a deep breath and know we're okay, I would make a plea to the board to have the general fund cover the Emory, and I think they can, the 101 makeover, they absolutely can afford to pay for that. I would argue and take that for what you want, is that this is a capital expense for a building that I don't believe that they're in a position to take on. I think they have a carryover and it's fantastic, but it's still, it's like 10% of their overall budget. And that's scary to me as the fiscal officer.
With the levy on the ballot.
With a renewal levy on the ballot with no new revenue.
Mhm.
And we're fine, we are making do, but in order for us to make do at both of these houses, and even if we shuttered 101 a portion of the time, they still need functioning bathrooms. That, if we turned it into a community center or for whatever, it still needs functional plumbing. So I think the makeover for 101 is very doable. Their budget can absolutely take it on with no harm, no foul. 15 grand, and let's just say I think trustee Bennett and I laughed about no renovation is ever, there's always something that goes, you're like, oh, we
You
found
know,
out.
any plumbing job is 3 trips
You
to the
know.
hardware store.
So it's 15, let's say it's 20. I just don't feel
This is kind of
comfortable.
hard pipe my pool, and it was 4.
Now, the other objective is, yes, they can take it on, and as the year progresses, if things go sideways, the general fund can always step in and we can always transfer money with the board resolution. That's not a problem. Or we can, or the general fund can just pay for something. It doesn't actually have to flow through that way. General fund can pay any expense. So that's my perspective, but I'm a little uncomfortable taking 20 grand out of their carryover.
So should we put together a resolution or a motion for next meeting or whenever we want to approve both of these? Any more discussion about?
Yeah, I think.
Actually, it would just be a purchase order signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the visit that we made at 101s. Don't mess with the bay. It has a lot of character. Very comfortable to me. The bathroom has a lot of character. Needs to be addressed. If we expect your people to work a 24-hour shift or a 12 overnight, there's not one of us, if we were traveling on vacation, would spend 1 hour in those restrooms and those showers, and we'd go on down the road. This is a matter of hygiene, safety, quality of the conditions we're providing for your people.
Done my best, but
Well, there's only, you're out of miracles. It's time to get the big hammer. And again, what I would like to suggest strongly that don't lose sight of the dorms. You know, that's another quality issue of their work environment. And then we'll go through that. I think it has to be done. And Julie and I talked yesterday, and it's affordable. And I think we need to move forward with it.
appreciate it.
I'm hearing you all correctly, Lieutenant Meyer would move forward or have somebody sign the contract with Emory. I would assume it would be trustee McGurran. And then from there, I could create a purchase order. But you tell me where you want the expenses coming from. I mean, we can split it 50-50. We can do fire general fund. We can do general fund. We can do 100% fire. It's just a matter of what Chief Johns has to put on the PO request to me. And then because of the dollar amount, you guys will have to sign it, but that's not the PO request, that is.
I think it'd be in a township-owned building. I don't see why it should come out of the general fund, really.
And I trust
And
your
that-
judgment with balances.
And that keeps Chris and his department more above water
Correct.
pending this next,
We appreciate that.
this next vote, you know.
And then the costs from 101, those are all going to be blanket purchase orders because of the amount. They're so, generally speaking, they're not material. I mean, I can just keep you guys floating on blanket POs as long as the board realizes I may be moving a little bit of money around out of your carryover into supplies and building materials.
The hope is it wouldn't even be the 2,000. That was because, as Trustee Bennett said, when you start on something, something else comes up. So there's,
There's a gremlin somewhere, you just haven't found it.
as far as the women's bathroom at the 2, where would that fall in? Would that fall in?
Yeah, just build it into that. I mean, when you, as you have receipts come in, especially if you're using a credit card or
I
whatever,
guess that could.
you can indicate 101, 102, because then I'll put it in the description when I'm paying the bills. It's just, it doesn't really matter, but it's nice for tracking
Right.
if I know which
All right.
station.
Appreciate it.
I know trustee McGurran's using Lowe's quite a bit these days for some things here, and we probably need to talk to them about a tax exempt.
We
Because,
have a tax exempt set up through Lowe's.
do you? Great. Well, then we need to get trustee McGurran on your account, so,
Give them the phone number for the firehouse.
Text me the,
okay,
Yeah, just give them the station.
ID or whatever. Okay.
okay.
The
Awesome.
station number,
Yes,
Ross 102.
the phone number.
It pains me that we paid
Okay.
$10.
I'll text it to you. Yeah. Yeah, just go up, tell them tax exempt, they pull the number up.
Okay,
Fine.
great.
Okay, the Viking protection contract. This is the one, I think, Don and Chris, weren't you guys?
Yeah, we
Consulting on
have
that?
to get together the document I have here are basically proposals for two pieces of work to be done. The question that I had is the replacement of the 20-pound ABC, 155 hours labor to carry it into firehouse. And
And that was,
Yeah.
I think Lieutenant Meyer also had a lot of hands in this. I don't want to take any credit from all the hard work that he's done and put into this stuff, so.
there's a hood system that they proposed to hydrostat. Is that 102? Do we have any idea who performs the annual inspection of all the fire extinguishers within the township? It is Viking.
They perform with their performance today.
You know, the labor costs on certain items are questionable.
Be interested to know, last year, when they dropped off the fire extinguishers here, did they charge $150 per extinguisher in labor?
I will have to go back and look at.
Because they set them there at highest level. So
Yeah.
did they put in $150 per extinguisher that they did not install?
So 2025, I'll pull those, anything we paid to them.
So I don't think it's just an issue now where we use a fire extinguisher. Phone call was placed on day 13 and we still have not gotten.
You probably know other people that do that.
We're short at dry chem fire extinguisher on July too, because they use it on the fire.
Which is what they're designed to do,
Right.
correct?
I called one person and was given two other numbers to call to try to get it replaced, and that they still haven't brought
They
it up.
have different
I called today. And they
schedules for different.
out today. I just don't believe.
We start with
Are we
A.
contractual
So we're all
now
scared
to
of
them, or so for how long?
Signed a 3-year.
They come down.
They're in year,
Is that what this is?
This is technically year one.
oh, wow.
Is there a penalty to get out of it? If so, can we get out of it?
I looked, we could owe them the off, but we may owe them $3,100 if we break the contract and go elsewhere. At least that's the cost that they have included in there. And the vast majority of that is not extinguishers, it's the hood system
Good system.
up at the twos and the smoke alarm system up at the twos.
Wow. Pardon the pun, but I would burn them up until they give you, get an extinguisher.
You meant,
Aggravate the crap out of them.
That is the plan to call them again tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, depending.
You need reinforcements, I'll volunteer.
I'll send you the number.
The only thing it does say in the contract is that they are required to, in a reasonable amount of time, provide the services. I don't consider almost 2 weeks to be a reasonable amount of time.
It should be
replace a fire extinguisher.
within a day or two. If it's a piece of equipment off our apparatus that we don't have.
Yeah.
Only in Westchester.
Correct, they're not, they're very low.
Not there, that's that far.
So we're in year one on a rag and tag contract. And how many units do you think they're inspecting?
As far as fire extinguishers?
Yeah.
Well, they inspect the fire extinguishers at the ones, the twos here in the road department.
Do you have anything in your cruisers?
Yes, but I don't think every cruiser has them.
Okay. 2.5 pound, 5 pounders? This is a purple K extinguisher that you have. I see a K class. Hydrostatic test 1 quantity, 6 liter K class.
Yeah, the class K in the
Class K.
kitchen at 102.
Okay, so that's part of your hood system.
That is a separate, it's a separate extinguisher.
Okay. What prohibits us from getting prices on a hood system from another company?
From looking into it. Obviously, if we break a contract, it's whatever patients are.
Well, these are estimates on performing the work. We keep a contract to continue them to rag and tag. And then we use another vendor for the higher ticket items. I don't know that there's anything contractually that says we have to use it for everything. I'll tell you what, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to get with you and get down to the nitty gritty on this. And then we'll get some. I have no problem getting pricing from other vendors, which I believe will be less than what we're paying now, if not significantly less. And I have no problem going to 8790 Beckett Road. That's okay with the fire chief.
It's okay.
All right. If it's okay that we just table this for the remainder of the week and then go, I'll get with you when you're on duty and then we'll work on it.
Okay. Anything else from the,
Thank you, Lieutenant Meyer, for all the
Yeah.
legwork and
Yes.
time and effort he put into these, both of these items. Thanks, Steve.
anything else from the board? Public participation, we have public participation.
do.
Julie?
Yes,
He's been
he
waiting very
he
patiently.
picked the longest meeting and he's been, yeah.
There you go.
Sam Markham?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Sam Markham. I'm a student at Ross High School. I'm also speaking on behalf of two other students, Cannon Sawyers and Clayton Huff. We just wanted to present the issue that we kind of believe in as a group, which is the possible implementation of sidewalks by the Ross High School and middle school area down into here by the bank where we already have sidewalks. It's kind of something we looked into since we have a lot of friends and other students that we noticed have to walk to and from school into neighborhoods right around here. And it is more of a danger for them. It puts their safety at risk, I think, to not have sidewalks and to have them walk on the side of the road. Another beneficial aspect of it that we also see is business through this area, having more foot traffic in that area and bringing, not just students, but families and other adults, letting them be able to walk without, not having sidewalks would be definitely something we think is beneficial. It's not like a complaint that we have. It's just something we kind of thought as a group to help better our community. We just wanted to say thank you guys for everything that you do. And we hope that maybe this topic can be further looked into further meetings. And that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Being on a state route, that we might be able to approach ODOT on something like that. But ODOT, one of the things we ran into, just so that you know, right, we ran into it right down here, is they want us to maintain the sidewalks, the township. Mm-hmm. Our road department, who is not here tonight, it's not a meeting he would typically attend, they don't have the capacity or the funds to maintain sidewalks everywhere. So that's one of the challenges that we. So we'll take it under advisement, and we'll check to see if there's anything we can do.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Sam. There you go.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Nice work done. Oh,
Pleasure. Thank you.
Anybody else? Move for the adoption of motion number 26-041 to retire to executive session to discuss the employment, promotion, or compensation of a public employee in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1. Time?
7:35.
Need a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Hatton?
Yes.
Trustee Bennett?
Yes.
Trustee McGurran?
Yes.